Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Thursday. It is Things to Think on Thursday, and I am here with you to finish up our little mental health series that I have been doing. Let's just get to it. I could definitely use some inspiration today, so I'm gonna go with these cards. I have another little tiny deck that I cannot find to save my life, but wow. That was fast. Okay, that card flew out. Oh, there it is. I don't know if you saw that, but damn. Right out of the gate there. Oh, there's another one. Okay, I usually like to shuffle 3 times. Just in case. So, we'll make this one quick. Alright, nothing else. Oh. Oops. Okay, guess I lied. It seems like some people just want to have the last word, right? So I'll save those for last. Anyways, it's a bit of a difficult morning for me this morning. I am not struggling, but struggling. So if that makes any sense, I am trying to find my footing. And, yeah, so, all right, here we go. From, I'm going to save that one until older sibling comes on. From Maria Robinson. Nobody can go back and start a new beginning, but anyone can start today and make a new ending. All right? So nobody can go back and start a new beginning, but anyone can start today and make a new ending. So there you go. Just, do your thing. Do your thing. You can't. We tend to live in the past sometimes, and we should not. Because if, I don't know. Again, my brain is just, like I said, I'm coming out of that big, long, whatever it was I was in, and my brain is a little discombobulated. So this is mental health. People, sometimes your thoughts are just kind of like, whoa. So anyways, again, nobody can go back and start a new beginning, but anyone can start today and make a new ending. One of the reasons I love this is because, again, we tend to go, well, what if I had done this? What if I had said this? What if I had, made this decision or that decision? Did you? Or whatever it is, sorry about that. Then this is what you can do. Stop. Stop worrying about what you did or did not do. And start from this moment and move forward. Start from this moment and say to yourself, hey, you know what? Okay, I've got this. I may not be able to make a new beginning, but I can create a new ending. And really, I disagree with that quote in a little bit. New beginnings are always happening. Change is a constant. It is the one constant in life that we cannot stop, and it's change. And some people may say, yeah, we can. Yeah, we can. No, you can't. You're not an infant anymore. You're an adult, or you're a teenager, or you're a young adult, or you're an older person. Whatever it is, that's change. That's change. From the moment we're born, we're constantly changing. What we can change is our perception of things and how we look at things and how, we approach things. And so instead of living way behind you in the past, start your new beginning now. Create your new ending. All right. So the next, Marie Curie. Nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. So again, this is an approach. How do we approach things? Do we approach things from the perspective of, holy crap, or, we go all bonkers, we go all crazy, and we overreact to everything? Or do we take what we're afraid of and learn the lesson from it? That's the question. Do we take what we're afraid of and learn the lesson from it? So, again, nothing in life is to be feared. It is only to be understood. The next one, Harriet Tubman. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. So again, every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars to change the world. So there you go. Those are very, very profound words. Actually, I might keep that one out for a little bit. I need that inspiration. Thank you, Harriet Tubman. Jack London. you can't wait for inspiration. Sometimes you have to go after it with a club. You chase it down with your baseball bat and go bam, that's my inspiration. Not people, the inspiration. Okay, let me make that very clear. Do not hurt any living breathing thing with your club or your bat or your stick or whatever it is you have. Okay, but I like what he's saying here. Sometimes you can't wait for inspiration. Sometimes you have to go after it with a club. And you know, he's an author, right? So he's wrote a lot of very interesting books, and I mean, if some of those books are based on some of his experiences, then that is a person who faces fear with the club. But yeah, I mean, it's so well said. Sometimes you have to go after your inspiration. You have to find it, and you have to, you know, put it into submission for you. So the next one, Johann G. von Herder. Johann G. von Herder. Without inspiration, the best powers of the mind remain dormant. There is a fuel in us which needs to be ignited with sparks, or, as Jack London said, threatened with a club. So it's funny, 2 inspirations in a row. I've been struggling with that, and some words my dad gave me, not bad, good, but when I was with him this last week, and I have the inspiration, but I have the fear and the rejection that seems to come along with it. But without inspiration, the best powers of the mind remain dormant. There is a fuel in us which needs to be ignited with sparks. And you know, here's the funny thing. Whatever kind of artist you might be, even if you don't feel like you're an artist, if you are inspired to do things through music, through movies, through other people's art, through reading other people's things, even just walking outside, you know, I mean, you might feel a breeze through your hair and go, whoa. And all of a sudden, all these ideas might just come to you. But we have to stay open. The problem with fear is that fear puts these blocks on us. It puts all these obstacles in front of us. So everything that we want, we feel like we're hurdling all these things. You know, think of it as like an action movie, or even Twister, right? In that one scene where the 2 main characters are like, go left, go right, go left, go right. And it's like, the first time I ever saw that movie, the first thing I thought is, wow, how convenient that all these things are falling left and right. You know, I mean, we know that's not how life works. But the point is that, you know, the point is it does make the scene flow better, of course. But in reality, things could go left, 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 right, 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 or left, right, you know, or straight, you know, duck. But the obstacles are always going to be there. You know, maybe that's when you get out your Jack London club there, and maybe not so much beating the inspiration as much as you're beating away the fear. And so, you know, sometimes we just have, you know, whether you pray, manifest, set intentions, sometimes when we want something bad, I've learned today by accident, sibling changed the channel and she got wrapped up in something and then explained it to me, and I thought, wow, maybe that's just it. Instead of wishing for one particular thing that you want, ask, pray, or manifest that all the obstacles between you and this desire of yours are removed. Sometimes that's the same as inspiration. If you are looking for your inspiration, ask for those obstacles to be removed. And last but not least, Madonna. That's why I said this one just fell out of the deck. So I'm like, okay, someone wants to have the last word. Shocker. A lot of people are afraid to say what they want. That's why they don't get what they want. All right? Actually, that's a good one. I'm glad that she said that to us, because that's a very, very good one. Sometimes people are afraid to say what they want. That's why they don't get what they want. Be open. Be open and proud about what you want. You know, I mean, she's living her best life, right? So, all right. The reason I needed inspiration today is, here's the wacky thing about mental health. All right. And I don't mean wacky in that respect, because I don't want to get yelled at by anybody. Whether, you know, I mean, depression is such an awkward thing. You know, one day you're feeling, oh yeah, I'm ready to conquer the world. And the next minute you're just kind of like, And for me, I've been going in and out of a spiral for, I can't even tell you how long. Every time I think I've come out of it, I feel like I've gone right back into it. And I'm learning now to use my tools to make sure that they do not last as long as they last. So, that being said, sometimes I think we're afraid to push ourselves out of our comfort zone. Yesterday I went to the movies, I had a blast, had a wonderful time. Funny thing is that I went yesterday and there were a lot of people in the theater for a noon movie. And I know that if I had gone last Thursday, it probably wouldn't have been as many people because I kept checking the seats to see how many people were there, and there was like 5 people in the movie theater. So, sometimes when you're struggling with your mental health, the last thing you want is to be surrounded by people. Now, fortunately, nobody sat next to me. I know. I don't mind when people have to sit next to me. Sometimes you're going to be in a crowded movie theater. And I've always been lucky that I get people next to me that are, don't feel the need to talk or pull out their cell phones and all this other stuff. So, phew on that. But today, the struggle is a little bit real. And I think the struggle is a little bit real because you start coming out of this thing and you start feeling good about stuff. And then, reality hits. But all those cards that we just read, I think what was great about them is this. Take that club of inspiration, club that inspiration, like Jack London said. Chase down that inspiration if you have to, like the other one said. But don't let it get away from you. Have faith in yourself, have confidence in yourself. The biggest, to me, and like I said, I'm not a trained therapist, I am not trained anything mental health. All right. I am trained in my own experiences. And for me, just talking about these experiences and hoping that people understand them is that, people will sit there and say, oh, I'm sorry you're spiraling. But, that doesn't feel all that great. Because it just feels like, oh, sorry, you're going through what you're going through and I have no idea what you're going through. But, hey, hope it gets better. It's not something you can just talk about. It's something you have to live through. Think of it this way. Once you get on a roller coaster, right? And you have every opportunity to get off until the train leaves the station. And once the train leaves the station, you're stuck and you have to ride out this ride. And, back in back in the old days, Knott's Berry Farm used to have a roller coaster called the Corkscrew. Now, much to my chagrin, because I actually do like the loops, I was so afraid as a child, I never rode it. Never rode it. And then it went away and it became something else. And, that's a regret of mine because it's not something I'll ever be able to experience again. But that's kind of the idea. You have your straightaways, you have your loops, you have that speed, and then you have the slowdowns, and then you have the pickups. And that's really kind of what mental health is like. I mean, you're excited about everything, then all of a sudden the train leaves the station and it's just like, whoa, what did I sign up for? What did I sign up for? And it happens. It happens. It's how life works, whether you have a dinged up mental health or not. This is how life works. Life can be a roller coaster. Life can straight up be a roller coaster. And it all depends on how we look at it. Sometimes it might make us sick to our stomachs. But if it's something that you're heading towards and you're feeling all these, slowdowns, pickups, loop-de-loops, all these things, write it out. Write it out. Because eventually that train will return to the station. And the thing is, when the train does return to the station, though, you don't just get up and run off unless you're some 10-year-old kid. Because, when we were kids, yeah, but as adults, things change a little bit, and it's, we might be a little wobbly. But if you enjoyed whatever it was, like yesterday, I enjoyed the movies, and I could have cared less that there was a lot of people around. My only concern was, please don't talk during the movie. Please don't pull out. One guy pulled his cell phone out for a little bit, but fortunately, that was the only time. But I think. Sorry, my brain. I have notes, and this is why I make notes, but I still get a little discombobulated. But as you can see, I do have the humor. I do try to stay on top of these things, and I am getting better. And like I said, sometimes I used to be afraid to share these things because when I first started sharing about all this, I would get so many messages. Are you okay? What's wrong? What can I do to help you? And it's like, this is just how my brain works. I can have a bunch of good days and then I'll have a bad day. Or maybe not even a bad day. I might just have a lower day. But because I've had so many good days, I was shaming myself for having a bad day. And I was unable to accept the fact that this is how my brain is, that this is, no matter how many times I talk about this, I've been talking about this. I mean, the show is about 2.5 years old now. And I talk about things like, oh, well, yeah, it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to have bad days. But I wasn't applying that rule to myself. And I think it was because I was worried what other people would think of me. I was worried about what other people might say. Oh, well, she's unreliable, or she's undependable, or she's, well, I don't want to hang out with that person because, they always seem to be depressed. Well, I'm not always depressed. I have good days. But when you're coming out of a spiral, you really have to kind of mind the wobbliness. I mean, I had so many plans this week, and then all of a sudden it just felt I was so inundated with all these feelings, and it's just kind of like, So I just wanted to talk about spirals before I get into the third subject of this week regarding mental health. First, we talked about depression. Then we talked about how to potentially get people to acknowledge that they might need help, or to, note the worries and concerns you might have with other people. And we talked about how too, sometimes, you might think someone has depression, but they don't. It could just be situational. And it could be something they're trying to get through. So, the blues doesn't always mean someone has depression. So we talked about that yesterday to how to navigate it in a very delicate way. But today, I wanted to talk about suicide risks. And we also talked a little bit about how depression and the stigma is a little bit generational. And that was also supposed to be part of today's talk. And I kind of covered it yesterday, but I think I'm still going to cover it today for anyone who didn't see yesterday's show. So, sorry, it's booting up. It really is booting up. I've gone through this before where I've had shows, and sometimes I feel like at the end of it, it's like, why did I even do a show? But I knew I had to, because I think it's very important for people to see what happens and to understand that, if somebody says, oh yeah, I struggle with depression, don't just walk away from them. Be understanding, be patient, be kind, be compassionate, but you could know somebody for 3 or 4 years before you find out that, oh yeah, I struggle with depression, because they may hide it well. Or they may just be like, this is not a good time for me, and just, it happens. So I think why I'm really trying to end the stigma for this is because, I've seen how people who don't understand it have treated me. And it's not bad. Not always. Sometimes it is like, oh, and or like I shared my story with my mom about my mom yesterday, and how people sometimes become so afraid of it, they stigmatize you, and not on purpose. When I first started talking about the issues I had with my mom and my mental health, I was very angry at first. But as I started to go through that healing journey, as I started to understand where she was coming from, the fears that she probably had, I started to understand who she was and why she came from that direction. I don't raise weak babies. My mom's thing. I don't give birth to ugly babies. I don't raise weak babies. It's just funny. And those are her words, okay? But I started to understand. I was still a little angry because I thought, wow, what if she had listened to me? What if she had supported me in that time? Where would I be today? But I can't take that back. I can't make that happen, go back and have that beginning again. And it's just like that quote from today, right? From, Marie Curie about, you can't go back to the beginning. It was Maria Robinson. You can't go back to the beginning or go back and create a new beginning, but you can start right here and create a new ending. So I paraphrase that. Terribly paraphrase that, but I paraphrase that. So I want to talk about, it's funny because I can feel myself skirting around this issue. Um, yeah, today's topic for things to think on Thursday is suicide. And it's not my favorite topic. I have been through two in less than 10 years. Not me, but people I know. And one of them was a very, very dear friend, and that I had worked with. And that one really kind of sideswiped everybody. And, mental health it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing. I have friends online that I worry about, and another one, though the second one I'm talking about was somebody on social media that I knew, and it was just kind of like, whoa. And their sibling had taken over their social media account, and you're just kind of like, wow. And it hits home when you're talking to somebody one day and the next moment they're just poof. So yeah, it's a hard subject, and you can see because I'm really trying to pick my words carefully because, like I said, this is all from my experience. All right, but here's some symptoms, potential warning signs. Now, I want to remind everybody that this comes from the MayoClinic.org, so a lot of these are going to be clinical signs, clinical descriptions, clinical everything. There, sometimes people don't have a reason. Sometimes people will just out of the blue. You don't see it coming. Yes, they're not in a good place, but there's no hint, no sign, no nothing. And there's sometimes just that momentary click that they don't come back from. And like I said, it's a very personal choice. It's, I would say usually the last resort when somebody is either near attempting, or actually goes through with the act of. And I don't think, sometimes I think it's something people plan because they're just tired of hurting, they're tired of dealing with whatever they're dealing with. But sometimes I think people take the easy way out. Now, when I say the easy way out, I'm talking about people who have done very, very bad things to other people and then don't want to pay the price for it, so they just, think like Shawshank Redemption, right? Spoiler alert, but this movie's like 30 years old, so not my fault if you haven't seen it. But the very end, the warden, who was a terrible, terrible human being, treated one of his inmates absolutely horrible. He ends up shooting himself in the end because he didn't want to be arrested and he didn't want to go to jail. So those kind of people, I'm sorry, I know I should have more compassion for it, but I do not. Because those are the kind of people that make the people who are struggling and hurting and in so much pain and who choose this way out, those are the people that get mixed in, and people call all of them cowards. And I will tell you this right now. If you are struggling with mental health and you get to the point where you are ready to jump off the ledge and you jump off that ledge, don't judge that person because you do not know what's hurting inside of them. It's not a coward's way out when it has mental health implications, because that's a lot of pain that they're trying to run away from. And I've always considered the fact that maybe their higher power says, you know what, it's okay, come on home. We'll take care of you. If you want to try again later and go back to Earth, that's okay. There's a lot of religions that look down on suicide. There's a lot of religions that don't understand it, that will sit there and say, oh, your loved one's going to hell. No, they're not going to hell. They're leaving hell. That's why they did this, because their life here was hell. That pain inside of them, that constant going and going and going in their brain was just so painful that it was like hell on earth for them. I can't explain, what goes through somebody's mind when it comes to having a dinged up mental health and going through with this act, but I know where I've been. And I know my near attempts were because I just couldn't do it anymore. It was hard, and I thought maybe that's the easy way out. But it's not easy. And from my own near attempts, I know it wasn't easy because you are literally putting your life in the hands of your brain, in the hands of this feeling that you're feeling. And I've been very lucky to have people stop me before I went through with it. And I'm sorry for getting emotional, but this is how important this subject is to me. Because I don't want people to be stigmatized. I don't want people who attempt these things and who survive them to be stigmatized. I want them to get the help they need. I want them to see that whether the act is permanent or whether the act leads them back to here because it didn't work, that they're important, that they're not bad, they're not cowards, they're hurting. And it's a horrible feeling to hurt that much. It is a horrible feeling to face your mortality and be in charge of that. And I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm getting so emotional, but I think a lot of these feelings are just things that I haven't dealt with, feelings I haven't been able to face. So, if you are a person who knows somebody, don't treat them with kid gloves, but also, if they're willing to share their story, but tell them, hey, I'm glad you're still here. And whatever you need, I'm here for you, even if it's just to sit with you for a little bit. If this is a thought that comes into your head again, call me. I can't fix it, but I can sit with you. And I can be there to listen. Not say anything, just listen. Because sometimes I think, in my own opinion, we don't feel seen. We don't feel heard. And I think that's why sometimes people do that. Or, like I said, there's so much pain. And there's so much of an overwhelming feeling that you want it to be over. You can't deal with those feelings anymore. And you want it to be over. And, like I said yesterday, older sibling is very, very open. She's an open book. She lets me talk about her story. And for those who didn't see yesterday's episode, I found out that twice she had tried to take her own life. And I asked her, I said, well, what was it like the first time when you woke up? And it was a straight curiosity. And I asked her, I said, is it okay if I ask you questions? Because I was trying to understand my own brain. And this was at a time when she was really trying to help me get my balance, find my balance, get the help I needed. And I asked her because I knew about my own 2 attempts under my near attempts at the time that I asked her under my belt. And when I say near attempts, there's 3 kinds. There's suicidal ideation, which means you're constantly thinking about it, but may not ever go through with it. It's just a feeling you have. Maybe it makes you feel better. Maybe it makes you feel worse, but it's just a thought that goes through your head and you don't do anything. An attempt is obviously when you go through with it. A near attempt is when you have everything in place, but you're just kind of sitting there waiting for the right moment. Or, in my case, divine intervention steps in. And I've talked about those stories a million times. They're profound to me in their own story, because it's like, wow. I think back on these moments and I think, holy crap. Somebody really wants me to stay on this planet. Because I was that close. And I'm not sure the first time it would have even done anything, but it might have. It might have. But again, like I said, I'll explain it because people are being like, yeah, divine intervention, blah, blah, blah. The very first time, I was 15 years old. I was very shy. I was very quiet. I had changed schools again because I went to private school till 8th grade. Then I went to a public school, made all these friends. It took me forever to make these friends because I was so shy. I didn't know how to connect with people because I'd spent 9 years of my life knowing almost the same people. And none of them went to the school I went to. And And I was afraid to ask people, hey, can I have lunch with you? And fortunately, Bestie Troy, Bestie Troy, who I've known since I was 14 years old, so about 36 years this year, really kind of took me under his wing. I was not very nice either. I was kind of a bitch in ninth grade because I was so scared. I was so insecure, and instead of, just being super shy, whenever people would try to latch onto me, it's been like, because I was so unsure about things. But not an excuse for my behavior, but we still do laugh about how crazy I was back then. And I remember I changed schools again, and it was not going well. I felt like I was back in ninth grade again, trying to make friends, trying to find people, not feeling like I fit in, just feeling like everything was forced. And I didn't understand that I had depression at the time, and all the trauma that I had struggled with just a few years earlier when it had ended it was boiling inside of me. And I just had these overwhelming feelings, and I just got to the point where I just didn't want to be here anymore because I didn't know how to handle these feelings. I didn't know how to, and I struggled with it. And I didn't go to my parents about it because I didn't think they'd understand, because I didn't understand it. I didn't know what depression really was. To me, because of what I had been taught, if somebody had depression, that meant they were going to die. They were going to either die in a mental home where they're terribly treated, or they were going to kill themselves. Okay, so that's what I understood about depression. I didn't realize how, it's like a web. It's like a spider's web. It's very intricate. And sometimes our dinged up mental health can be such a beautiful thing because you start to see things differently than other people. When you come out of a spiral, or you come out of a phase of having really low feelings, you see the world and you see it, and it's so colorful. You see things that other people don't see. You see the keyholes, you see the doors, you see the gates, you see the fences, you see everything. You see the old tree that's probably, older than, maybe your complex or your house. One of my family members had a big plant in front of their house that was older than the house. But, you start to see different things. And I had the knife in my hand. I literally had it on my wrist. And the phone rang. And the phone didn't stop ringing. The answering machine never picked up. Till finally something snapped inside of me and said, fine. You have to pick between what you're angrier at, your brain and how you're feeling, or the phone that's ringing. Because if any of you remember the phones back in the 80s and 90s and before that, oh my God, landlines are loud. Not like the phones we have now. I mean, they are loud. Take your phone, put on the, it'll say like the old phone ring, phone ringing, and turn it up to the highest volume, and that is how loud it was. And I answered it, and it was Troy. And he's just like, hey, I just wanted to check on you. And I told him everything. I broke down and I told him everything. And he told me, so I'm going to call you every day after school just to see how you're, to check in until I feel like, you're okay. And he did. And things did get better. I made the friends that I kept throughout high school, and some of them a little bit after high school, and some of them I still keep in touch with on Facebook. But he was always there. He never left my side. He made sure. Older sibling, I gave her the kudos and the pedestal yesterday, but the very first time, I didn't know her. I didn't know her yet. It would be quite a few years before I met her. So I called her older sibling, but she's one of my best friends, and she's one of my soul sisters. And, but no. And, the funny thing is after I hung up the phone, we talked for about 45 minutes or so. I hung up the phone, and then all of a sudden the phone rings again. And I was just like, and I was putting the knife back in the drawer. I was doing all this stuff, and it's just like, good Lord, is he calling back again? But the answering machine picked up this time. After 3 or 4 rings, the answering machine picked up. And I just thought, whoa, whoa, someone was working hard to save me that day. So anyways, let's get to these, because these shows have gone pretty long this week. But potential warning signs of suicide. And, like I said on here in my own notes, there isn't always a warning. Comments like, I'm going to kill myself, I wish I were dead, I wish I hadn't been born, people would be better off without me. So again, sometimes this could just be suicidal ideation. And I don't mean just, but I mean sometimes people feel this way and it's a fleeting thing and it goes away. So suicidal ideation it's not a good thing, but it also doesn't mean that someone is going to run out there and take their own life, okay? But keep an eye on them. Acquiring the means for an attempt, a gun or pills. In my case, it was a knife, which, standard kitchen knife. But, yeah, people acquiring these things for an attempt. My second time was with a bottle of pills. And the sad thing is they weren't mine. They were older siblings. And it was interesting because she to this day, I don't think she's ever refilled that prescription. And she was given that because her mom had just passed and she was having a lot of anxiety and this, that, and this. So they were anti-anxiety meds. But yeah, let's see. Withdrawing from social contact or wanting to be alone. Now, that's not always a sign of suicide. Sometimes when people are spiraling or going through their depression, this is just something they choose. They need to find themselves. They need to go within. But still, keep an eye on them. Check in on your people, because you never know what they're going through. Even if you don't think they have mental health issues, check in on your people. Let them know you care. Mood swings from highs to lows. To me, that's just that's a diagnosis. That's like bipolarism or whatever they call it now. Manic depression, I think, was the first one, where you hit your super highs and your super lows. But like I said, these are all clinical warning signs. Sometimes you just have to use your spidey instincts. Being lost in thought about death, dying, or violence. This is where we really have to take control and watch people. Okay, because a lot of these people that are going around shooting up places, a lot of it is mental health. But it's been so stigmatized that they haven't gotten the help they need. Or they're afraid to go to, an adult figure and say, hey, I've got these problems. Or even somebody else. And when we can't blame it all on mental health. But that's a whole nother subject. So, anyways, feeling trapped or hopeless about a situation. Yeah, that's a warning sign. Those are the ones who I can't face this, I'm not going to face this, so I'm out. Increasing the use of drugs or alcohol, and I added even food consumption. Suicide isn't always about taking a gun, taking a knife, taking pills. Some people will literally drink themselves to death, drug themselves to death, or eat themselves to death. And I've gotten close to the latter of those. And I really have to reel that in because, like I said, I got a heart to take care of and it's running fine, but I feel like I'm overworking her at this point and I don't want to keep pushing my luck. So normal routine changes. So maybe they're withdrawing. And again, that doesn't mean they're going to take their lives. Again, like I said, these are potential warning signs. But these can also be added to the worries and concerns from yesterday's talk about, things to look for when someone might be struggling with their mental health. And I mean, suicide isn't always just mental health. People, remember, when I say the common people blues, I just mean people who don't struggle with mental health issues every single day. Now, something could be happening in someone's life. Someone could just be so despondent, so distraught, so upended by everything, and maybe they don't have a dinged up mental health, so they don't know how to deal with it like a lot of us do. They don't have the tools that we have. I mean, I always thought that, a topic more than just one day in school would be good on this, because one, it can help people who do not have a dinged up mental health figure out how to help people who do have one. But it can also show them, hey, you know what? You may not always have, or you may not have a dinged up mental health, but people still go through all of these different things. Not one person in life can say they have never been through any of these situations, whether you have a dinged up mental health or not. Because we're humans. This is how we feel. When you have a dinged up mental health, these things may just come in larger quantities. It may not just be a passing feeling one day. It could be a feeling that lasts a few days, or something somebody has to struggle through. Because our brain likes to lie to us from time to time. That's why you have to listen to your heart. That's why you have to listen to your gut instinct. All right. So, self-destructive. Yeah, that's a big one. That is a big one. Self-destructive. Giving things away or getting affairs in order when there is no reason. There's always a reason. There's just maybe not be a reason to somebody else. Just to the untrained eye, there may not be a reason. But saying goodbye in such a manner that you won't see them again. And personality changes, sometimes coupled with the previous warning signs. So again, a lot of these could just be signs of mental health. A lot of these could be signs that somebody is coming close to that. I mean, like I said, for my friend that passed away that I worked with, nobody saw it coming. Nobody saw it coming. I feel I shamed myself for a while thinking I should have seen it coming because I do struggle with mental health, but she didn't talk to me about any of it. And when I would try to talk to her, just to show my concerns and say, hey, you know what, I'm always here to listen if anything's going okay. I saw the warning signs, but there was just not enough. I guess there wasn't enough trust to talk to me about it. And it's okay. It's not that they don't trust you. It's just they don't know. They don't understand it. And so they're going to go to people that they think will understand them better. And I worked with her. She's the one that hired me, and it was hard. But from what I was told, even her note that she left was written on a receipt. So you can see how random that moment was. It may not have been random to her, but whatever happened that day, from the time I saw her to the time that we couldn't get a hold of her and she had passed away, something must have happened that just triggered her and pushed her over the edge. And when it comes to those kind of things, like I said, we can't stigmatize those kind of situations or the person that deals so heavily with mental health. But this is a person, from my understanding, that never had any mental health issues. And then then something happened, and I have my own theories on what might have happened that caused this downward spiral, but those are my own theories, and time has passed, several years have passed, so we don't know. But like I said, this is not a person I've ever known that dealt with these kind of things. And so when it happened, it was very much a shock. So remember, when it comes to this, when it comes to the signs of depression, urging people to get help, or even suicide, we have to handle it with very sensitive, very gentle hands. Because just because somebody might have these particular symptoms doesn't mean that that's something they're planning on doing. When we talked about the signs of depression, those could be signs. So again, like I said, I got these from the mayoclinic.org, and these are potential signs. But mental health it's a very funky thing. It's a very funky thing. And I feel like the less we stigmatize it, the better off we're all going to be. Because people will not be afraid to get the help they need. They will not be afraid to reach out. They will not feel like they're burdening anybody. And they're not going to feel like they're troubling anybody. Like I said, I've been in a crazy spiral. And it's been difficult. And I'm finding my footing again. It's exactly like the roller coaster they talked about. You leave the station, you're going through all these loop-de-loops, the speed ups, the slowdowns, then you get off and maybe you're a little wobbly. Just give yourself time to reacclimate when you're coming out of whatever it is that your brain has put you through. And that's what I have to remind myself, not to just go running out, but just take your time to acclimate. Even if you just choose to go to one place over the next 2 days, maybe you go somewhere today, maybe you go somewhere tomorrow, don't push yourself so far out of your comfort zone that you fall backwards. And I think that's where I have been making that mistake, is I have been trying to push myself because it's like, oh, I feel great, I must be out of this. I have to accept that this is my brain. Do I like it? No. Does anybody who has it like it? No. Of course not. It's hard. It is fucking hard. It is hard. And it's hard to not know, your own brain. There's a certain amount of control we all like to have over our lives. And when this kind of stuff happens, we feel like we're losing control. That's why we spiral. Because we feel like, oh my God, what is happening? Why can't I control this? But we're trying so hard to control it that we're forgetting to understand it. Sometimes there is no reason. Sometimes it could be a bunch of things that just kind of culminate into this little ball that no longer has a reason. It's just a bunch of feelings that need to be let out and need to be let go. And like I said yesterday, instead of running from it, run towards it. Just say, look, MFer. I know you're my brain, but we got some rules here. Those are the tools that we have. Like I said, I'm gonna pat myself on the back. My therapist is very proud of all the tools I have. And you're thinking, well, Shelly Marie, if you have tools, why are you spiraling? Because the tools are to help me get out of it. 2 years ago, my spirals could have lasted months. Now my spirals last a few days, once I figure out that I'm spiraling. Now what I have to work on is to figure out the starting point of them, so that I don't go as far as I go, because I don't like spiraling. It's a horrible thing. Most people, like I said, don't understand it. They'll sit there and say, I'm here if you want to talk, and that's great, and that's lovely, and it's very appreciated. But sometimes talking doesn't help it. Talking just says, oh, yeah, well, these are my feelings. Thanks for validating them. And that's just me. Like I said, everybody's different. Everybody's different. Everyone's going to handle their own mental health map their own way. They're going to follow it their own way. But for me, that doesn't always help. Sometimes I just need somebody to sit there and say, okay. Sometimes you just need a hug. I know that might seem crazy to some people, but sometimes you just need that hug. That reassuring hug that says, hey, everything's going to be okay. And I'm here. I'm here to make sure that you don't, jump off the deep end. But like I said, when it comes to suicide, for the people that are struggling with their mental health, for the people who are just in so much pain, we can't stigmatize them. Like I said, they're way different from the people who just might be going to jail or might be doing this. And even then, I shouldn't be stigmatizing those people, because I'm sure there's something in their head that says, oh my God, I just can't do this. They may have mental health issues. I may be unfairly judging them, but I think the reason I came at it from that angle is because people will sit there and go, well, they're a coward. And then you find somebody who has mental health issues and, oh, they're a coward. No, you know what? They fought the good fight. They fought hard. They fought hard to save themselves. But they just got tired. There was just too much pain. And I might be speaking out of turn, but like I said, I'm speaking from my own experiences. I'm speaking from older siblings' experiences. She had the attempts. I had the near attempts. And by the grace of somebody out there, we were told, hey, you still have a purpose here. And that doesn't mean that somebody whose attempt follows through doesn't have a purpose. They do. But maybe it just wasn't time for them to live that purpose now. And like I said, whether it's God or whoever their higher power is, or whoever our higher power is, they're just saying, you know what, it's okay, come on home. We'll take care of you. And again, if you want to try this again later, we'll send you back. But just come on home. And sometimes it has a purpose. It's just a purpose you don't realize. When my friend passed away, I started advocating almost immediately. I had been struggling with advocating before that because I thought, well, if I talk about my story, people will think it's just about me. It's not about me. I share my story to help other people heal theirs. Because if I had people sharing their stories at the time, if I had people be honest with me about the things they've been through in their life and the things that they went through and some of the same things I went through, I think, where would I be now? But I didn't have that. So I had to create it. I had older sibling telling me her story, and she's the only person with mental health issues who has ever been honest with me, completely honest with me about their struggles. And her story helped me heal mine. And that's why I give back now. But after my friend passed away, I thought, what if I had started advocating before then? So even if only one person sees this and one person says, you know what, it's going to be okay, and that saves them from jumping off the ledge, then that's great. I hope it saves a lot of people. I hope we're all open enough to heal ourselves through other people's stories that we can go out there and heal other people. It's a ripple effect. I am one ripple in a very big pond of a lot of people doing the same thing I do, sharing our stories to help other people heal their own. And I know that when it comes to people with mental health, I haven't always been the best person to be there for them, because I've been struggling with my own and trying to figure out how to make it work. But maybe that's just it. Maybe I'm approaching it the wrong way. Instead of trying to figure out my brain and figure out my triggers and figure out all these different things, maybe I just need to be in tune to myself enough to know when I feel it coming on. Not ignoring it, not running away from it, but running towards it and saying, hey, you know what? I used to think I would say, oh yeah, I'm going to turn around and fight you and beat you in the face and whatever, bad mental health. But maybe that's not what I need to do. Maybe what I need to do is just look at myself in the mirror and say, you know what, Shelly Marie, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. This is a moment. And if the moment turns into longer than a moment, maybe it turns into a very long moment, instead of shaming myself, just say, you know what, it's okay. We're going to be okay. Reach out and talk to somebody. Reach out and ask for that help. Reach out and ask for that hug. Reach out and just say, hey, you know what, I know I called you, but will you just sit on the phone with me for a few minutes? Because I need to know someone's there. Or me go downstairs and just say, hey, older sibling, you know what, I am not feeling all that hot. Can we just stop trying to fix me and just, feel it? Just sit here and just, go through the motions. So, as you can see from this and the earlier parts of this episode, this has been a very emotional show for me. And okay, so Eileen says, just wanted to say thank you for always being open and vulnerable with us. This truly gives meaning to the saying, you don't know what battle someone is fighting. Thank you, Eileen. And thank you for the hearts, older sibling. Sorry, that was gross. My 5-year-old me is coming out. So, thank you, Eileen, for that. You know, the really sucky part is my makeup was looking really good today. So anyways, I appreciate that. People may think it's easy for people to come out and just be vulnerable. It's not. It's hard. It's scary. It's hard. You're worried other people are going to judge you. I promise you, I'm one of the most fun people I know. And that's why the struggle is this. And I'm not even sure that my struggle is with me, but what people might think of me. Like, oh man, back away from her because she's got issues. No, lots of people have mental health issues. Lots of people have undiagnosed mental health issues. But this was a very personal one for me, because I think while I was talking to all of you, and of course my two that are on here live, that I can see that have commented, I think I worked out in my head that I've been approaching my own mental health incredibly wrong. For me, everybody's different. But the hunt it down and beat it up thing isn't working for me anymore. And I think now I just need to learn how to, when I feel these things coming on, instead of shaming myself, just saying, hey, you know what, Shelly Marie, we got this. We've got this. And when we don't got this, we got people around us who will keep us afloat until we do have it. Until we have it again. And I'm very, very grateful for that support system. Find people you trust. Find people you know. If you don't want to reach out to someone, find, seek professional help. If you're not sure you want to do that, whether it's online or in person with somebody, you can do it online, totally unknown to other people outside of your world. or in your world, you can also join support groups. We're not alone. We're not alone. Mental health is a huge thing, and we're not alone. If we were alone in all of this, Freud wouldn't have had a career. Carl Jung wouldn't have had a career. All these therapists and psychologists and all these other people out there writing these books and these self-help books, and just people who aren't even, doctors or therapists, just people like me writing those books, showing that we're not alone. Okay, so I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I know you're like, "How you're telling me to have a wonderful day after you sat there crying your eyes out and being all blue and gloomy?" No, I know, I'm just kidding. Um, oh, all right. So again, I hope everybody has a good day. Please take care of yourselves. I know this was a rough week. This was a rough week. We had very heavy subjects. And like I said, I wanted to choose them 3 in a row. I really wanted to get them done in May, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. That way, if people want to go back, you know where to find it. You know where to find it. So, yeah, take care of yourselves, okay? I'll be back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Time, Facebook Live. All lives are public. They're under Shelley Marie Lucas. I share them to my Facebook and YouTube under the Aloha Perspective. And tomorrow I'll be back with Oracle Friday. I know, I love Oracle Friday. I didn't do it last Friday because I was traveling, but I love Oracle Friday, and it's one of my favorites. And I think it's just because everybody gets so excited, right? Like the people that pop on are like, "Oh my God," or "I needed to hear that," and it's not that it's because it's validating. It's because you like to hear that excitement in people's voices. And after this week, I mean, this is like the gloomy cloud week. But I think it was very important for people to understand mental health. And I'm going to keep advocating. I'm going to keep talking about it. Like I was saying earlier, and I think I lost my train of thought. When my friend passed away, I realized, you know what? You cannot sit on your story any longer. You have got to share it. You have got to get out there, and you've got to tell people it's okay to not be okay. And now I need to tell myself that it's okay to not be okay. You are going to have days, you're going to have moments, you're going to have fleeting moments. But whichever one it is, it's all right. And it's okay. It doesn't make you any different than anybody else. It just means you have to fight for yourself a little bit harder. And when you struggle, I'm here. My inbox is open. Okay, my comment section on all of these, my lives are public. If you need to reach out, put it in the comments, and then, message me. So, because I know how scary it can be to feel all alone in your brain. I know how scary it can be to be around people who don't understand what you're going through. I have been very lucky in the sense that I do have people that understand, who do know how to kind of keep me from, fading off into the sunset, fading into the abyss. But not everybody has that. So if you don't, please find it. Like I said, my inbox is open. There are groups out there. There are chat groups. There are online Facebook groups. There are, there's groups out there. And they can help you. They can show you that it's okay to own your story. I have had horrible, terrible, awful things happen to me in my life. And I survived them. I lived. And I mean, personally happened to me. But I made it. And I know if I can make it, anybody else can make it. Sometimes we just need to find those right people that, like I said, they're our life preservers when we fall off that boat into the water. That person that's ready to throw you that life preserver. So, to all of you, again, who were watching today, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Eileen, thank you for the very kind words. And for being one of the trusted people I know that are there. You empower me a lot, girl. So I'm very, very appreciative of that. But again, I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Tomorrow's Oracle Friday. If you don't come on tomorrow, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all back here Monday for whatever thing Mondays is. It's Mindful Monday, Mental Health Monday, Manic Monday, whatever Monday ends up being. I'll try to make it fun since this was some pretty these were some pretty heavy subjects this week. So again, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care, and I will talk to you soon. And Eileen, I love you too. Thank you.